June 14, 1944. Normandy, France, just south of Cairnton. Dawn breaks low and gray over the hedgerows, the air thick with damp earth and cordite that never quite fades anymore. The rain from the night before still clings to leaves and steel alike, beating on the rounded turret of a German Panther tank hidden nose forward behind a sunken lane. Its engine idles at a whisper, a controlled purr, barely audible beyond the hedges. Inside, Oberfeldwebel Karl-Heinz Richter rests his gloved hand on the breech of the 7.5 cm KWK-42 gun, calm, confident, almost bored. They've been here since first light. Richter has fought since Poland. He's watched French tanks burn in 1940, Soviet armor shatter on the Eastern Front. He knows the sound of enemy engines, the shape of silhouettes, the way panic travels through crews when they realize they're outmatched. And this morning, as his gunner peers through the narrow optics, Richter is certain of one thing. If the Americans come, they will come in Shermans. The crew jokes about it quietly over the intercom. Too tall, too thin, too light. The Americans build them fast, sure, but fast doesn't mean good. Everyone knows that. One clean shot at 1,000 meters, and the Sherman goes up like a petrol drum. They've seen it already. Blackened hulls along Norman roads, turrets blown clean off, resting upside down in fields like discarded helmets. 5 shots, the loader mutters. 5 Shermans, 5 fires. Richter allows himself a thin smile. Then the hedgerow trembles. At first it's distant, a low vibration carried through soil rather than air. Engines. Not one, not two. Many. The Panther's crew stiffens, the joking evaporating as Richter raises his binoculars and peers through a slit in the foliage. Beyond the hedge, past a narrow field still fogged with morning mist, movement flickers. A Sherman rolls into view. Then another's. They come forward cautiously, turrets scanning, infantry hugging the hedges beside American soldiers in mud-streaked uniforms, rifles low, helmets tilted forward as if bracing against invisible weight. The Shermans are unmistakable M4A1s with rounded cast hulls, white stars dulled by dust, antennas whipping gently as they advance. Richter gives the order without urgency. Target the lead tank. Range 800 meters. The gunner adjusts. Crosshairs settle. The Panther fires. The shot cracks the morning open. The shell slams into the Sherman's glacis and punches straight through. The American tank lurches, stops, then erupts orange flame billowing from hatches as crewmen scramble or vanish in smoke. Richter watches the fire take hold, nodding once. As expected. Next target. The Panther fires again. Another Sherman dies. Then another's. The lane fills with smoke and burning fuel. German infantry nearby cheer, slapping steel, shouting that the Americans have no idea what they're walking into. For a brief, intoxicating moment, it feels like every other battle technology, training, and experience asserting their natural order. But then something strange happens. The Americans do not stop. More Shermans push forward, engines revving higher now, clanking around wrecks, turrets swinging toward the hedgerow. Smoke rounds burst, white clouds blooming to blind the Panther's optics. Artillery whistles overhead fast, accurate and detonates behind German lines. The ground shakes again, harder this time not from one column but several. Richter's radio crackles with overlapping voices. Enemy armor on the left, multiple units. Infantry falling back too many. The Panther fires until the loader's arms ache, until the gun barrel smokes and the ammunition rack thins. Shermans keep appearing. Some die immediately. Others maneuver, flanking, forcing the Panther to pivot, exposing its sides. One Sherman doesn't fire at Alit's radio antenna is extended, its commander half exposed, shouting coordinates into the handset. Within minutes, American tank destroyers begin to speak from farther back. A round slams into the Panther's track, snapping metal, locking the vehicle in place. Another impacts nearby, showering the hull with dirt and shrapnel. For the first time that morning, Richter feels something cold settle in his stomach. This is not a duel. This is a system. The Shermans are not coming alone, and they are not coming to prove they are better tanks. They are coming because they are replaceable. Because behind every burning wreck is another platoon, another company, Another battalion rolling off transports and repair depots that stretch back across the Channel, across the Atlantic, into factories that never sleep. As smoke thickens and American infantry closes in, Richter realizes the laughter, the jokes, the certainty belonged to a different kind of war. And that war is already ending. June 14, 1944. Mid-morning. Normandy hedgerows. The Panther burns slowly. Richter gives the order to abandon ship as smoke creeps through the fighting compartment, thick and bitter. The crew spills out one by one, boots hitting mud, rifles forgotten. American machine gun fire snaps overhead, not wild, not frantic, but measured. Infantry moves with the tanks now, tight and coordinated, clearing hedgerows with grenades and short bursts. As Richter dives into a drainage ditch, he looks back once. Beyond the wrecked Panther, beyond the blackened Shermans littering the lane, more American armor is still coming. Columns stretching back farther than he can see. Fresh tanks, clean hulls, no hesitation. By noon, the German position no longer exists. Elsewhere along the front, similar scenes unfold with brutal consistency. German crews report kill after kill, 5 Shermans destroyed. Then 10, but the reports begin to sound hollow even as they're transmitted. Because every report ends the same way. Enemy armor continues to advance. In a command post near St. Lo, Hauptmann Ernst Keller pores over maps stained with sweat and dirt. His Panzer Grenadier Regiment has fought American armor for 3 days straight. Panthers and Panzer IVs have performed well tactical ambushes executed perfectly, firing from covered positions, withdrawing before return fire can range them. On paper, it looks like success. In reality, Keller's strength is evaporating. Fuel shortages keep half his vehicles idle. Ammunition trucks arrive late or not at all. Replacement crews, our young barely trained and replacement tanks, simply do not arrive. Meanwhile, American radio traffic never stops. Their units rotate. Their damaged vehicles withdraw, reappear repaired within days, sometimes hours. Keller listens as a tank commander reports destroying 4 Shermans in a single engagement. What is your status now? Keller asks. A pause. Enemy armor still present. Multiple units. Advancing. The arithmetic no longer works. German doctrine is built around quality superior optics, thicker armor, heavier guns. In isolation, it is correct. A Panther can kill a Sherman at ranges where the Sherman cannot reply. A Tiger can dominate an open field like a fortress on tracks. But Normandy is not an open field. It is hedges, villages, narrow roads, mud. It is close-range fighting where numbers compress space and angles multiply. Where a single Sherman platoon pins a Panther from the front, while another flanks through orchards and lanes mapped days earlier by aerial reconnaissance. And the Americans have something the Germans do not. Time. Across the Channel in England, entire armored divisions wait intact. Across the Atlantic, factories in Detroit, Lima, and Chicago turn out Shermans by the thousands. Welders work double shifts. Engines roll off assembly lines already tagged for shipment. Damaged tanks are stripped, rebuilt, and returned to combat faster than German units can even file requests. American logistics officers do not speak in heroic terms. They speak in tonnage, in throughput, in replacement ratios. For every Sherman lost, another is already en route. For every German tank destroyed, the whole remains. German crews begin to notice the pattern. At first, they still laugh grimly, counting burned Shermans like tallies on a chalkboard. But the laughter fades when the numbers stop meaning anything. When killing 5 tanks no longer changes the tactical picture. When destroying 10 still leaves 15 more. A veteran Tiger commander near Caumont writes later that it felt like fighting the tide with a rifle. Even victories feel exhausting. An ambush succeeds perfectly. 3 Shermans burn. American infantry falls back. For a moment, the battlefield is quiet. Then artillery arrives accurate, relentless. Smoke. High explosives. Radio chatter grows louder, not quieter. New units probe the flanks. By evening, fresh Shermans roll forward, turrets already trained on known German positions. German commanders begin requesting permission to withdraw, not because they are defeated tactically, but because they are being consumed operationally. Every engagement costs something they cannot replace. Every delay favors an enemy whose strength grows, not shrinks with time. The Sherman, once mocked as a death trap, reveals its true purpose. It is not meant to win duels. It is meant to be everywhere. As June turns to July, German intelligence reports paint a grim picture. American armored divisions are not committing piecemealty, are cycling units in depth. Tanks fight, withdraw, refit, and return. Crews gain experience faster than German replacements can be trained. Even destroyed Shermans contribute to the system drawing fire, fixing German positions, allowing artillery and air power to finish the job. The battlefield becomes less about individual machines and more about pressure. Constant, unrelenting, and somewhere between the hedgerows and the burning hulks, German tank crews begin to understand the mistake they made. They judged the Sherman as a tank. They should have judged it as an industry. July 18, 1944. Near St. Lo. Early morning. The air vibrates before the engines are heard. German soldiers look up from foxholes and ruined farmhouses as a low, continuous thunder rolls across the countryside. It is not artillery, not aircraft. It is engines. Hundreds of them. American armor moves forward in waves, not clustered, not rushed. Shermans spread across fields and roads, infantry riding on decks or moving alongside, radios crackling constantly. The tanks are scarred, many patched with fresh welds and replacement plates. Some bear chalk markings from previous fights. None pause. Hauptmann Keller watches through binoculars, jaw tight. His remaining Panther just one nose concealed behind a hedgerow, gun already laid. He knows the drill. Let them come close. Pick a target. Fire once. Relocate. The Panther fires. A Sherman erupts in flame, crew scrambling out. Keller doesn't smile, because the American column does not slow. Another Sherman slews to a halt, turret already rotating toward the muzzle flash. Infantry dismounts instantly, spreading out, weapons up. Smoke rounds bloom, obscuring the hedgerow. Artillery whistles overhead within minutes, shells landing with mechanical precision. This is not a tank battle. This is a machine in motion. The Panther reverses, engine screaming. It barely clears the lane before an American 76. A shell punches through the hedge where it had been seconds earlier. Keller knows that even if they survive this engagement, they will not survive the week. Across Normandy, German armored doctrine is being dismantled piece by piece, not by superior tanks, but by integration. The Sherman is never alone. It is always part of something larger. Air observers circle overhead, radios feeding targets to artillery batteries miles away. Engineers bridge streams overnight. Recovery vehicles haul damaged Shermans back under cover of darkness, while replacement tanks roll forward along roads already repaired by American engineers. Every loss is accounted for. Every gain is exploited. German commanders attempt to respond. Panthers are redeployed. Tigers concentrated for counterattacks. On paper, the numbers still suggest parity. In practice, fuel shortages strand heavy tanks before they ever reach the front. Allied fighter bombers prowl roads in daylight, turning every movement into a gamble. A Tiger battalion near Villers-Bocage loses 3 tanks not in combat but to mechanical failure and air attack during a single relocation. Meanwhile, American armored divisions continue to rotate. A Sherman crew that survives one engagement is often back in action the next day, briefed, resupplied. Their commanders know where neighboring units are. Their radios work. Their maps are current. German crews fight blind by comparison. Radios fail. Orders arrive late. Maps are outdated almost as soon as they're issued. The psychological shift is unmistakable. Early in the campaign, German tankers bragged about kill ratios. 5-1, 10-1. They told stories of Shermans burning from a single hit. Now they stop counting. What matters is how long they can hold before being bypassed, encircled, or buried under artillery fire. The Sherman's presence is constant, pressing from multiple directions, denying rest. In one captured diary, a Panzer officer writes, "We destroy them, but they do not disappear." It is like cutting grass. By late July, Operation Cobra begins. The bombardment is overwhelming. Thousands of aircraft pound German positions into dust. When the Shermans advance afterward, they do so across a landscape already broken open. Resistance is fragmented. Isolated Panthers and Tigers fight desperately, knocking out tanks at point-blank range, but the result is always the same. They are swallowed. American units push through gaps faster than German commanders can react. Shermans pour into open country, racing along roads once denied to armor. Columns stretch for miles. Fuel trucks keep pace. Repair depots move forward with the advance. The Sherman proves something crucial here, not on the firing range, not in duels, but in exploitation. It can move. It can be fixed. It can be replaced. German crews begin to realize that their enemy is not the tank in front of them, it is the one behind it, and the one behind that, and the one still crossing the Atlantic. By August, the Falaise pocket begins to close. German armored remnants attempt breakouts. Panthers lead desperate charges through smoke and fire, guns blazing. They destroy Shermans in close quarters, sometimes ramming, sometimes firing until barrels glow. But there are too many Americans. Shermans block roads. Shermans fire from ridgelines. Shermans coordinate with infantry and artillery in ways German units no longer can. The laughter is gone. In its place is exhaustion and the dawning understanding that the war has changed. Not because Germany built the wrong tank, but because America built a system no single weapon could stop. August 19, 1944. Near Chambois. Late afternoon. The air reeks of cordite, oil, and rotting hay. Smoke hangs low over the fields, trapped beneath a gray sky that presses down on everything. The road is clogged with wreckage trucks burned to frames, half-tracks overturned, horse carts smashed beneath bomb craters. And tanks. German tanks sit dead along the roadside, some with turrets blown clean off, others abandoned intact, fuel tanks empty. Panthers, Panzer IVs, even a Tiger, its massive gun pointing uselessly toward the sky. Inside one Panther, Oberfeldwebel Ernst Weber grips the hatch rim and looks out across the chaos. His crew is alive. That alone feels like a victory now. They've knocked out 2 Shermans Todeklian hits. One brewed up instantly. The other burned slower, smoke pouring from its hatches. But the road ahead is blocked. Behind them, American artillery crashes closer with each passing minute. Weber knows the truth before anyone says it out loud. There is no breakout, no relief force, no counterattack coming. The Shermans have sealed the exits. Across the pocket, American armored units coordinate relentlessly. Destroyers hold choke points. Shermans form firing lines along ridges and tree lines, their turrets constantly moving, scanning, talking to one another through radios that never seem to fall silent. This is not chaos. It is control. German attempts to mass armor collapse under air attack. Thunderbolts dive out of the clouds, rockets shrieking, bombs smashing into columns before they can even deploy. Survivors scatter, only to run into American armor waiting calmly, guns already laid. A Tiger crew manages to punch through a Sherman roadblock, crushing one tank under its tracks, firing point-blank into another. For a brief moment, it looks like the old day steel versus steel. Then artillery finds it. Shells land in a tightening pattern. The Tiger shudders, its suspension blown apart. Crewmen bail out into machine gun fire. For the Germans, armor has become a liability. Too heavy to move freely. Too complex to repair without parts that no longer exist. Too few to influence a battlefield that now stretches beyond their ability to shape it. Meanwhile, American losses are absorbed almost immediately. A Sherman burns. Another pulls up beside it, firing past the wreck. Infantry step around the flames and keep moving. Recovery crews mark the hull for later salvage and move on. There is no pause for mourning. The war does not stop. By the time the Falaise pocket collapses, the pattern is unmistakable. German tank aces may still score kills, but they no longer change outcomes. Every engagement drains strength that cannot be replaced. In German repair depots, mechanics strip parts from wrecks to keep a handful of vehicles running. Fuel is rationed by the leader. Crews are rushed through training, sent to the front with barely enough hours to know their machines. Contrast that with the Americans. Fresh armored divisions arrive with full complements. Crews train stateside, practice gunnery endlessly, learn coordination as second nature. When they arrive in Europe, they slot into an existing framework that absorbs them effortlessly. The Sherman is not feared because of its armor or gun. It is feared because it never stops coming. By September, German reports no longer describe Shermans individually. They describe mass armor, continuous attacks, uninterrupted pressure. Language shifts from tactics to endurance. How long can we hold? How much fuel remains? When will replacements arrive? The answers grow shorter each week. German tank crews, once confident in their technical superiority, now fight with the understanding that every victory is temporary. Destroying a Sherman buys minutes, sometimes seconds. The American response is immediate and overwhelming. One veteran panzer commander tells his men before a final engagement, "Aim carefully. Make every shot count." They do. It doesn't matter. As the front collapses across France, the Sherman rolls east. Across rivers bridged overnight. Through towns repaired just enough to support traffic. Along supply routes guarded relentlessly by air and artillery. The German armed pride of Blitzkrieg has not been defeated in a single decisive battle. It has been exhausted, outproduced, outpaced, and for the men inside the tanks, the realization is brutal and final. They are no longer fighting enemy vehicles. They are fighting time itself. September 3rd, 1944. Somewhere east of Paris. Dawned. The fog lifts slowly from a wide assembly area carved out of farmland. Rows of Sherman sit nose to tail, their olive-drab hulls damp with morning dew. Engines rumble to life one by one, a low mechanical chorus that never quite stops. Crews climb aboard with practiced ease helmets on, hatches clanging shut, radios crackling with clipped voices and call signs. There is no ceremony here, just motion. A young lieutenant named Charles Red Haskins stands on the turret of his M4 A3, coffee steaming in a tin cup. He watches another column roll past fresh tanks, fresh crews, clean tracks. They arrived overnight. No one makes a fuss. They're simply absorbed into the flow, like water joining a river. Red thinks back to a burned-out Sherman he passed yesterday, its hull split open like a peeled can. A chalk number marked the side. Salvage teams were already at work, pulling components, winching the wreck aside to clear the road. That tank's war was over. The war itself was not. Behind this quiet efficiency lies something the German frontline soldiers never see. In Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, and dozens of smaller cities, factories run around the clock. Steel presses thunder. Welding arcs flare like artificial lightning. Hulls move down assembly lines on rails. Engines drop into place. Turrets are lowered, bolted, wired, tested. Every step is standardized. If something breaks, it's replaced, not repaired on the spot, but swapped out. Components are interchangeable. Training manuals match reality. Mechanics don't improvise, they follow procedures refined by repetition. The Sherman is not a masterpiece. It is a system. A system designed to be built fast, fixed fast, and fielded everywhere. German intelligence knows this now. Intercepted reports speak of unlimited reserves, of enemy armor appearing faster than losses can be inflicted. Officers argue about whether better guns, heavier armor, or new tactics might restore balance. None of it addresses the core problem. Germany builds tanks like instruments. America builds them like appliances. At the front, this difference becomes painfully clear. A Panther throws a track during a maneuver. There is no spare. No recovery vehicle capable of towing it under fire. The crew destroys the optics, sets charges, walks away. A Sherman breaks down. Within hours, another tank tows it back. Within days, it is running Agener replaced entirely. For American crews, the knowledge is comforting. They fight hard, but they are never truly alone. Supply columns follow closely fueled trucks, ammo carriers, spare parts stacked like groceries. For German crews, isolation sets in. Each engagement feels final. By the time American armor reaches the German border, the psychological shift is complete. Sherman crews no longer talk about tigers with awe. They talk about them like obstacles dangerous, yes, but manageable. Mark it, someone says. Artillery'll get it. And often it does. The Sherman's gun may struggle frontally, but flanking maneuvers are automatic now. Radios coordinate movement instantly. Infantry and tanks advance together. Tank destroyers cover approaches. Jabos circle overhead. German heavy tanks find themselves hunted, not feared. The laughter from earlier years' jokes about thin armor, gasoline engines, cramped turrets vanished. In its place is a grim respect for something far more terrifying than a superior weapon. Consistency. Because the Sherman is always there. On every road. Behind every ridge. Across every bridge the engineers throw down overnight. Even when one burns, its replacement is already rolling forward. By late 1944, German after-action reports stop counting Shermans destroyed. The numbers have lost meaning. What matters now is ground held, hours delayed, fuel remaining. And even those metrics slip away. Red Haskins finishes his coffee and drops into the turret. The column begins to move. Tracks bite into mud, churned by thousands of vehicles before them. Somewhere ahead, resistance waits, maybe a panther, maybe a gun hidden in the trees. It doesn't matter. If his tank is hit, another will take its place. If his division takes losses, replacements will arrive. This is not bravery. It is inevitability. For the German crews watching the endless columns roll past through binoculars and gun sights, the realization settles in with crushing clarity. They are not being outfought. They are being outproduced, outsupplied, outlasted, and no amount of skill inside a single tank can stop an army that never runs out of tomorrow. December 16, 1944. Ardennes Forest. Before dawn. Snow falls in thick, silent sheets, muffling the forest. Pines sag beneath the weight. Engines idle under camouflage nets, breath from exhausts turning the cold air into drifting clouds. In the darkness, German armor gathers panthers and tigers crouched along narrow roads, crews hunched inside with collars turned up, hands stiff around steel controls. This is the gamble. One last push. One last chance to split the Allies, seize fuel, force a negotiation. Orders are whispered. Maps are unfolded under red-filtered lights. Watches are checked. When the attack comes, it comes like a fist. German tanks surge forward through American lines, thinly held by infantry, and a scattering of Shermans. In the first hours, the old confidence flickers back. Panthers punch through roadblocks. A Tiger crushes a Jeep and fires point-blank into a Sherman that erupts in flame. Radios crackle with reports of success. For a moment, it feels like 1940 again. But the snow does not stop the sky forever. As daylight grows, American artillery wakes. Then the weather breaks. Low clouds lift just enough, and the air fills with engines. Thunderbolts. They come in pairs and fours, skimming the treetops, rockets slung under wings. German columns stall, jammed on icy roads, forced to bunch together. Tanks cannot disperse. Fuel trucks burn first, then ammo carriers. A Panther throws a track trying to turn off the road. Another blocks the path. Crews bail out under strafing fire. The column freezes, helpless. And then the Shermans arrive. Not one or two but platoons, companies, battalions. They come in from multiple directions, guided by radios and forward observers. They don't duel. They fix targets in place while artillery pounds them. They flank when possible, withdraw when necessary, always coordinated, always connected. A German gunner sights a Sherman through falling snow and fires. The shell hits, penetrates. The tank burns. Seconds later, another Sherman rolls into view and fires back. Then another, and another. There is no pause. No moment where the field is clear. Even under heavy losses, American armor keeps moving, pressure constant, angles changing, tempo relentless. Inside a Tiger near La Glise, a commander named Hauptmann Otto Keller listens to his fuel gauge tick downward. He's down to fumes. He's knocked out 3 Shermans today. His gunner is exhausted, his loader shaking from cold and adrenaline. He knows what's coming. When the fuel runs out, the tank becomes a bunker. When the ammunition runs low, it becomes a coffin. He orders the crew to abandon the vehicle at dusk. They spike the gun, destroy the sights, and melt into the woods on foot, leaving behind the most powerful tank Germany ever built and defeated, but useless. Across the battlefield, this story repeats itself. German tanks are not always destroyed. They are simply left behind. Meanwhile, American losses are tallied, replaced, and forgotten. New Shermans roll up from depots. Crews swap into them without ceremony. The war does not slow to acknowledge sacrifice. It demands momentum. By January, the bulge has collapsed. The German armored spearheads are gone, not annihilated in one climactic clash, but ground down by a system that never stops pushing. Every breakthrough costs fuel they cannot replace. Every victory leaves them farther from resupply. The laughter that once greeted the Sherman jokes about thin armor and burning hulses a memory now. German veterans speak of it differently, with a kind of weary respect. It was never about the tank, one says later. It was about how many there were. Because by the end, no German crew is laughing. They've learned the lesson written across France. Belgium and Germany itself wars are not won by perfect machines, but by machines that arrive on time, work reliably, and come back again and again. The Sherman was never meant to be invincible. It was meant to be everywhere. And in the end, that was enough. April 11th, 1945. Central Germany. Midday. The road into the town is choked with dust and debris. Buildings sag, windows blown out. Church spires cracked like broken teeth against a pale sky. A column of Shermans advances cautiously, engines growling low, infantry riding the decks with rifles slung and eyes scanning every doorway. There is almost no resistance. A single German anti-tank gun fires once from a side street, its shot going wide. Within seconds, return fire smashes the position into rubble. The crew never even gets a second round off. The column does not stop. Inside one Sherman, a veteran gunner named Frank Delaney wipes sweat from his brow and glances at the burned-out hulks lining the road Panzer IVs. A Panther half submerged in a crater, its turret cocked at an unnatural angle. He's seen dozens like it since crossing the Rhine. Once those tanks inspired fear. Now they look like relics. The German armored force that once dominated Europe has been reduced to fragment-isolated machines without fuel, crews without replacements, formations without cohesion. The technical debates that once consumed German officers' armor thickness, gun caliber, engine power have become irrelevant. There is nothing left to optimize. The war has moved past them. In contrast, American armor continues its steady, mechanical advance. Sherman crews rotate out, replacements slide in, maintenance crews keep vehicles running with almost casual efficiency. Damaged tanks are repaired. Destroyed ones are replaced. The system absorbs everything: loss, victory, fatigue without breaking stride. For German tank crews watching this from hiding or captivity, the realization is complete. They did not lose because they were outmatched tactically. They did not lose because their tanks were inferior. They lost because they were alone. Every Sherman they destroyed was a momentary success, swallowed by the next wave. Every engagement drained resources that were never replenished. Every victory pushed them deeper into a war they no longer had the means to sustain. The Sherman, mocked early in the war as crude and disposable, had proven exactly what it was designed to be. Not a knight, a tide. In the end, German crews stopped counting Shermans destroyed. The numbers were meaningless. What mattered was how many kept coming, and the answer was always the same. Too many, too fast, too late to stop. When the shooting finally ends, Sherman columns roll to a halt in fields and streets across Germany. Crews climb out, stretch, smoke, lean against warm hulls. Some pose for photographs. Others sit quietly, staring at nothing in particular. They know the cost. They also know the truth. They survived because they were part of something larger than themselves, as an industrial, logistical, and organizational force that made individual weakness irrelevant. German tank crews, once proud masters of armored warfare, leave behind burned-out machines and empty roads. Their laughter died somewhere between Normandy and the Ardennes, smothered not by superior tanks but by an enemy who understood something deeper about modern war. That victory belongs not to the strongest machine, but to the one that never stops showing up. And